Hi, I'm Erik Scott, the Captain and Public Information Officer for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Often people ask us really, what is brush clearance and why is it important? So simply put, brush fires continue to threaten life and property in the very high fire hazard severity zone. So that means areas that are prone to wildfires. And having brush clearance provides us the defensible space to save those lives and property. So particularly when you're clearing all of those ground fuels or the lower vegetation, that really helps us because it'll present what is called the fire ladder. And that's when the fire starts off low on the ground and it starts to climb upward to where it gets spread by winds. So what you might see is an ember would land on the ground, it would ignite the grass that is there, or what we call as light flashy fuel. Then it's going to jump to those lower hanging limbs or those branches and starts to climb up the tree, ignites that heavier fuel, and that just exacerbates the problem. So this requirement does not apply to your healthy fruit trees or privacy hedges or ornamental shrubbery, as long as that's all well maintained, meaning that it's free of all dead and dry material. Also, people ask, well, what are the basic brush clearance requirements? So your basic requirements are this. You want to trim the weeds and the grass down to 3 inches. You need to trim the bottom third of a bush, the bottom 6 feet of a tree. Now around your home, you'd want to maintain 5 feet clearance from the roof line. So if you're 5 foot tall and you're walking the perimeter of your roof, nothing should hit you in the head. And then you want to double that to 10 feet from the chimney, fences, and roadways. And it's important to note that these requirements are all within 200 feet of any structure or home, regardless if that structure or home is on your property or adjoining properties like your neighbors. So it's those areas that need to be clear in order to limit the spread of fire and to provide the defensible space for us firefighters to safely operate. So simply put, we'll provide the offense if you provide the defense. So here's your basic inspection process. It begins with the owner's self-inspection. So you want to compare your native brush and your landscape vegetation on your property with the information that you're going to find in the mailer and also on the LAFD.org/brush website. Now, if you have difficulties and you're not able to do that yourself, you can hire a professional who can both understand the information and then apply it to the property that you own. But you want to clear your property as required prior to May 1st this year. And that way you're going to pass the fire department's inspection and you avoid a $33 non-compliance fee and also a time-consuming second inspection, which comes with a costly $668 non-compliance fee. So it's important to note too that there's no need to call for an inspection at any time. You don't need to call for an inspection. We're going to do that automatically. Our computer system tracks all the properties that are due for an inspection. So then we'll have an appropriate inspector. They're going to be notified that your property is due, and they're going to come in and inspect and or re-inspect if needed. Now for the first inspection. That first inspection is done by us, the fire department, and it is in May 1st, and it continues until June 30th. However, we want people to know that it is a year-round requirement to have brush clearance. And all parcels that are within that very high fire hazard severity zone, they will be initially inspected. Those parcels that are found in violation are going to be issued a notice of violation, and they'll be assessed, and that's when you get that $33 non-compliance fee. Then the homeowner has about 30 days to comply with that notice of violation. And the owner can check the status of their property by registering an account at vms3.lafd.org. So now when we come to the second inspection, that means that you as a homeowner were issued a notice of violation on the first inspection. So then you're going to be inspected a second time after that 30-day period. That gives you that grace period of 30 days to correct the violation. Then owners can check the status of their property again by registering your account at vms3.lafd.org. Now, if the property is not fully in compliance upon initial inspection, that owner is going to be notified via mail or email if you're registered within that website that we mentioned. So it's important to also say there's no need to call the LAFD brush unit when you're ready for your reinspection. That reinspection will be automatically scheduled as appropriate with their timeframes. It's all computerized. So if your property remains in non-compliance after a failed reinspection, then it's going to be cleared by city contractors. And the property owner or you will be invoiced a non-compliance fee of $668 plus an administrative fee of $1,498 on top of the contractor's fee, so you certainly want to avoid this. We get asked a lot of questions. Here is your top 7 most frequently asked questions and the answers. So number 1 is, how can I check the brush status of my own property? Again, that's that important website that we're driving home, the vms3.lafd.org. You could register a new brush clearance account there and check the status. Now use your APN or the assessor parcel number, as well as a PIN, which is your personal identification number. It's going to be printed on the bottom of the owner notification that was mailed to you annually in March. Often we get asked, well, what is the best way to contact the brush unit? Simply put, the best way is to send an email. You send it to lafdbrush@lacity.org. Now, if you incorporate your APN and a brief description of the issue or the problem that you would like to discuss, that greatly assists us determining who you are and what the issue is. And then a member of our brush unit will respond to you within 48 hours. Also, you could feel free to call. The number is 1-800-994-4444. But we do ask for your patience in advance because it's very busy and there's minimal inspectors, so we have limited resources to take your call. But the office hours are from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, excluding holidays. So what if you received a notice of non-compliance in the mail? What are you supposed to do then? Well, start by reading that notice very carefully. Identify the actual violations that were mentioned on your property. See what was cited there. And then you could follow the steps in the frequently asked questions, the first one there, to see photos that was taken by the inspector of your property and where the problem is. Then you want to correct those violations by the due date. So look at that due date. It'll be located at the top right corner of your notice. Here's another question we get. Okay, you were issued a notice of non-compliance, and now you did the right thing. You finished clearing your property of the violations that you were cited. Now what? What's next? Well, truthfully, you don't have to do anything at this point. After the allotted 30-day period, a fire inspector is going to re-inspect your property. And if your property is still in non-compliance, then you get that second notice to abate the fire hazard. That'll be mailed to you. Now, the city will start the process to have your property cleared by a contractor at your expense, so you want to avoid that. Some ask if there is a particular contractor that should be used to clear your property. Well, simply put, the city does not provide a recommendation, nor do we endorse any contractor. So really, it's you as the property owner, it's your responsibility to request the current proof of insurance, if they're bonded, if they have a license, and obtain any other relevant information about that contractor. But we do try to help. So there is a brush clearance contractor list on the website. So what do you do if you feel that the inspector is wrong and that your property is in compliance? And can you file an appeal? Well, the answer is yes. Yes, you can. Visit the LAFD Brush website to view the detailed inspection process, and that includes appeals. However, note that a failed inspection will subject you as the owner to fees that continue to increase with each failed inspection. All billing is conducted through the city's accounting services section. So if you have questions about that concerning your fees or your invoices or any fees that even could be attached to a tax bill, you should direct those to the source. That's accounting. So you could either call them at 213-978-3000 3424, or you can send an email to lafd.brush@lactg@lacity.org. We understand that many people might be worried about their neighbor's property and that they might have a fire hazard because of some overgrown brush. And how would you report that? So first off, we want you to know that the fire department wants to hear your concerns so we can provide the clearance necessary for our firefighters to protect your property and your neighborhood. So you can report a brush fire hazard by email to lafdbrush@lacity.org. Now, please make sure that you include the exact location of the brush hazards, the address. If you have the APN, that would be even better. But of course, you need to put a brief description of what the hazards are and where those hazards are on the property. And of course, it's best not to go looking at those hazards on that neighbor's property without permission. You also can make your complaint by phone. That same phone number we provided before to our brush clearance unit is 1-800-994-4444. And again, we welcome your complaint, but remember too that we have limited resources to take your call, and those hours are from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday.